Thank you so much for being with us. Your choice or preference for topics today, please?
Synchronicity.
I was just thinking about that one. Yeah, synchronicity, what? Hold it.
Meditation.
What's the other one over there? One more time? What was it? Wait. Let me finish that one. Okay, hold on.
The other one was greed.
Thank you. That's enough. What did you say? Don't thank me. I'm not going to talk about it. Writing it down doesn't mean I'm going to talk. No, it does. It does increase the odds.
What are the odds for snow?
It definitely is going to snow within the next year, somewhere on the planet. On that note, the question, Three-Eye Atlas and asteroids and comets and snow, it sounds, they sound unrelated. Everything is related. Everything is connected. Human beings actually think they're sitting here like tiny little beings on a planet, sort of insignificant, hoping that a being somewhere, like up in the sky, will have mercy on us and pick some of us to take home, and then the rest just, off to hell we go. Wow, it's a great creation plan, isn't it? But this is man creating God in man's image. That's how messed up we are. That we can say, well, since I don't know God's plan, I'm going to just take some guesses. Here's what I think is going to happen. Bam, 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 And you can say, but it's in Scripture, and that's why we think it. None of it's true. It's all subject to our will. If we surrender to the will of love, we will see more love. If we don't, we won't. It's kind of simple. We're, determining our reality. There could be a threat of an asteroid coming to the planet, and it could manifest as something tangibly important. When folks ask me, and I understand these are important things, all of these duality, meditation, all these questions are dear to you, and I will address as best I can, as many as I can in the time we have. But keep in mind, be at peace. Just be at peace. If something were to happen, well, first of all, we're not going to get off that easy, where an asteroid takes us out, because that would be, trust me, that would be kind of nice. Be done with this planet. No more Democrats and Republicans on TV. I'm like, bring it on, yeah, please. I know that sounds weird and cold, but I don't care. So, because when you feel awake, and everybody in this room watching a program like this has had certain amount of awakening, isn't it true that the more you're awake, the less you bother with garbage in this world? Yes or no? Right. So, so don't take it too harshly when I talk the way I talk about some of these things. We're not going to get off that easy. There are things coming to this world, and they're already here. But they're mirroring our disturbed minds. Mankind is really getting messed up more and more and more and more and more. The good news is, it isn't actually you and I that are messed up. It's the ego we allow to act messed up. We have to reel it in. We have to reel it in and take responsibility. A comet, an asteroid, a full moon, or whatever else is happening in the world, a riot, an election, these are all mirroring us. The more we find peace, the more these things will have to mirror peace, because the world and the universe are perfect mirrors. They can't mirror something that isn't there to be mirrored. So we have to learn to take responsibility and realize, wait, first of all, it is not God's will that an asteroid strike the planet. It's not God's will that you have deceptive politicians either. But it happens. So what do? I don't know what to do. We start to go, I don't know. And you start to feel hopeless. That's exactly what the ego wants. Not just for your mortal death, but for you to feel dead even when you're alive. So the ego wins every time. We sit and go, like I give up, like I don't know what to say, what to do. These they're called no-win situations. Politics, even science puts you in a no-win situation. Who among you would not pray for somebody who has a severe illness that they heal, right? So you're praying that they heal. And then your tax money goes into groups of people that are supposed to find the cure for their illness. But they make more money on them being sick than finding a cure. Now I don't know whether I should donate money or pay my taxes because it's getting misused. Oh my God, what do I do? Shh. Calm down. What you really want is the peace of God. No, I want my friend healed and I want the government to stop misusing my money. And pharmaceuticals, stop. This is why you have to have drugs, man. This is why you got to drink to survive.
Where's the truth?
Where is it?
Let's find truth.
Yeah. Well, and the truth is God. So what everyone needs really is God. But that sounds religious. So I'm going to find a religion, but they're lying to me too. So now I'm feeling even more helpless and hopeless. What do? We want the truth of God. We want the presence of God. We want the peace of God. All that God is, whether it's peace, love, joy, oneness, that's what we really want. So it's an interesting thing to me because, and addressing, a lot of your questions here, there are 3 words that people don't typically put together. It's attraction, addiction, and attachment. And they're sort of living themselves in your chakras, in your lower body, your human self. There's this concept, attraction, addiction, and then attachment. But what happens is, in the highest heaven, God holds a vision of us as being holy, healed, children of God. I mean, God made us in its image. Where is that? Is it the one that votes this way or that? No. Is it the one that's a perfect parent? The one that gets perfect grades as a child? None of that's God. It's deep inside, all but forgotten. The reason you need kids to get straight A's is because you forgot who you are and you project it on them, but all will be well as long as they get straight A's. Thank God my kids don't do drugs. Keep the tension on that, and they'll do something because they're going to have to fight the tension you have to teach you your 2 tenths. You have perfectionism. Your children have eating disorders because you're feeding them perfectionism, and the ingesting of perfectionism doesn't digest well. And it makes me want to vomit out what you're projecting onto me. All of this is craziness. But it's understandable if we just own that it's crazy. It's how people would feel and how they would react if we were separate from God and missing God. So here in the highest heaven, in God, all is well. Now, that presence, that peace, we need to descend and bring it into our hearts. This is the chooser right here. I'm choosing the will of God today. I'm choosing the truth of God today, the peace of God. I'm choosing God. In any wording you want to use it, I'm choosing God. By doing that, you're asserting your number one gift, which is free will. Free will, we think, is, I have the right to rebel. That's free will. No, actually, you're never using free will if it's invested in rebelling, because you're not free when you're rebelling. You're reactive. Free will means freedom, which you can only know and experience when you know love. So my free will is when I want to love God again instead of hiding from God, and love myself and others. So I open my heart and say, let the light, the love of God descend into my heart, because here is where my beliefs are. Now, my beliefs, there where will your treasure be also means whatever you're invested in, whatever you believe is where your treasure is going to be. Meaning, whatever you believe is what you're going to attach to. If I think I'm separate from God, I don't just think it, I believe it. But if I believe I'm separate from God, here's the bad news. I get attached to that belief. Now, If I think I'm separate from God, and everybody in a body does on some level, if I believe I'm separate from God and you try to convince me otherwise, I'm going to be mad at you, angry at you. I'm going to like the way they did Gandhi, the way they did Jesus, I'm going to have to hurt you, hate you, rebel. I'm going to fight with you. I'm going to argue with you. Why? Because you're holding the truth and it makes me wrong. But I'm attached to being separate. I don't want you to make me wrong. Why? Because I'm attached to it. If you loosen that grip that I have, my attachment to being separate from God, if you loosen it, I start to feel wrong. Listen, I already feel bad enough for being separate. So now you're going to even make me incorrect and wrong for being separate? You're taking my reality. You're taking my only ounce of confidence. You see? So people are threatened by the idea of welcoming God back in. Because to welcome God in, you have to accept you've been out. So there's a process they call of addiction, which is, generically speaking, they call it the genesis, but the process of addiction is, first, you have to think something's wrong with you. Second, you have to feel, okay, so if something's wrong with me, there's like an emptiness inside. So I need to find something to cope with the emptiness. And I will. You'll cocaine it up or sedate it down. You're going to stimulate it up or sedate, depending on your style of your wiring. So you're going to, I feel separate, but behind every addiction is the feeling of separation or the feeling that you're flawed. Now, I feel like I'm flawed. Now I need something to sedate or stimulate. So stimulate so I don't feel so flawed because I'm high, or sedate because I feel so terrible. I need the ache to be gone. The third step of the process into addiction is, now it didn't work as well as yesterday. I need more of it. You see? That's what addiction's all about. The downside is I get attached to all of those things. I need to be attached to feeling that I'm separate. I need to get attached that something out there can fix me. And I also need to get attached to the idea that I can't be wrong. If it's not this, I need more of it. See, I can't just go, wait, this didn't work. So attachment is like the big problem is to believe we're separate, but we add to it when we start to feel attached because we're going to defend it. Don't you try to take away my addictions. Don't even tell me about them. It's why people get reactive when somebody tries to approach them like an intervention or a conversation. Hey, listen, have you ever noticed that you do this or this or this or whatever it happens to be? People defend it. And that's because they're scared. It's what's called a coping mechanism. And you're out there trying to take it away. Even if you're right, you're trying to take away my comfort thing, whatever it happens to be. It's never truly comforting, by the way. So we believe in our heart and soul that we're flawed. Then we have to medicate in some way. And that will not work on and on. It's going to fail us, and then we have to do more of it.
I don't believe
So,
I'm flawed.
you don't believe what?
I don't believe
Well, good. Then you don't even need to be here, right? We appreciate you being. Bye-bye. Okay, so anyway, that's a great example. Do you get what I'm saying? You can't hear that you're flawed because it takes away your reality.
I'm not broken.
Good. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Whatever you're saying, I don't care. See you later. Thank you. We have people online watching and in the room. Bye. See, it's okay. You have to let people be weird and strange, but not to the point of causing harm. Let them have their thing. But it was a perfect demonstration, right? Do you not think I knew that was coming? Do you actually not think I knew that was coming? This is what the world, the ego, it's what it does. It can't allow, he himself said, what we really need is the truth, right? So I start sharing it and he interrupts the truth. It's beautiful. But he does so in a way of, I'm not flawed. Why are you in a body? And I know some people don't believe this idea, the concept. We believe we're flawed. If we're not flawed, remember, there's an I and a we. Even if I proclaim I'm not flawed, which is arrogant, truly you're not. But the ego that proclaims I'm not flawed is not the divine in you. It's the ego that's trying to defend its addictions and its attachments. And once or twice a year, we'll get somebody that wants to come in and tell us their thoughts about it. And, it's sort of sad because you are sometimes dealing with mental illness or just angst. But guess what? Even mental illness is just another projection of feeling separate from God. But the defense of it, if you're not flawed, why did you need to interrupt a group that's learning and leaning in going, wow, we're gaining something? Why did you need to cause an energetic harm or attempt to? You see? And it happens. I remember one time doing a talk in a church. This is probably 30 years ago. And I was talking and, just doing my thing, and people are like, wow, and it was really cool. And there was just one of those people that just, nope, I just don't agree with this. And they couldn't just get up and leave, and which is good. Dismiss yourself. It's fine. Everybody gets whatever they need at some point. She gets up, and I'm the only one looking that way, but she gets up and she walks along the back towards the exit. The whole time she's flipping me off. The whole time she's walking, I'm like, what are those, antenna? What are you going to do, right? Did I say, oh, I don't think I can ever teach again because this one person? It's the ego. I must be heard. Go start a church. Go start a group. Go start a circle and see how many people sit around and want to hear. That's great. That's why religions are born every day. More religions, just more variations of nothingness, So we have this interesting thing happen. I feel separate. I feel flawed. Now, what am I going to do? If I just feel flawed and I remain conscious and aware of my belief systems, I will be able to see through it and say no to it. If it all stays in your heart, if you stay present in your heart, if you stay conscious and responsible in your heart, even if I say we feel flawed, I'm not, well, you're not just an I, you're also a we. Can you honestly say nobody's acting out? The fact that we are seeing stuff in the world means I or we are needing to learn something here, right? So it's interesting how this works. The ego I needs to rebel, but the spiritual I am starts to say, okay, wait, fighting this, resisting this isn't going to help. Resist not evil. So what I need to do is say, wow, you know what? Even if I feel kind of together, my brothers and sisters who are part of me are not. So I'm still in trouble. I still need some help. And that's beautiful. That's vulnerability. So here we are in our beliefs. How do I know I feel separate? Are you ever depressed? No. Are you ever longing, lacking, needing, compelled? Are you ever obsessive? Are you ever noticing anything wrong in the world? Because if you are, it's reflecting you. I'm not saying you're a bad person. I'm just saying the world's reflecting something that God does not put there. If God didn't put it there, we need to get over it, whatever the it is. So in this place, I have my beliefs. Now watch. Now, if I'm feeling this way, I need to cope with it. So the ego is born and says, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to find some really sparkly distractions. So it flies down into our lower centers. It creates our lower centers, gives us a lower self. And then it says, look, shiny stuff. So down here, it gives us distractions. How are you feeling? I don't know. I don't feel God, love, peace in every second of every moment, which means there's a problem. So what am I going to do? Well, look what it's doing. Look over there. And it shows you something that'll sedate or stimulate you in some way. Food, sex, drugs, alcohol, politics, anything to get you up or down or distract you. This is all, totally what Buddha was talking about, but the idea is look at the stuff out there. Now you go it's called attraction. So now you're attracted. Why? Because here's this attractive stuff. It attracts your attention. Why? Because there's a danger that at any moment, a holy child of God is going to say, something's wrong with this picture, turn its attention this way, and you rise back to God. You follow? That's dangerous to the ego. So the ego doesn't want you ascending. It wants you to feel down and out. Okay? So it proposes attractions. Now, if you could see through the attractions, which isn't that challenging, you just start to go, well, look at this, the stuff in the world, tragedies as well as pleasantries. It's all potential distractions. Why mystics and masters are saying, don't get caught up in the world. It's all just a lie. It's distractions, which is a little too intense, but they're right. But it's a little intense to hear, don't love anything, don't get attached to anything. It's a little paranoid. So what we need to do is go, we can see through it. This stuff, what is it doing? Oh, look, there's somebody with a shiny new car in your neighborhood. Maybe you should get another car. Wait, why? What is that bringing up in me? Watch out. When you say what's it bringing up in me, it brings you back here where you might find God. So the distractions have to keep happening like an addiction. And when one doesn't work, you need more of it. So the person that finds the attractions down here, lower centers, when you get to the lower mind, like let's say the solar plexus, it says, I have to make sure that not only the attractions are working, I have to make sure you become addicted to them. You see? So attachments are happening in my heart, including the attachment to believing I'm separate from God. Addictions, or rather attractions, are of the lower centers, the sparkly stuff out here to distract you. Even achievement, it's all just, it's the lies, the deceptions, whatever it may be. And then it's not enough. I have to go into my lower mind, the ego running rampantly, controlling the lower mind, saying, now I need to get you addicted to it. Because if we have those, you already feel attached to feeling separate. We've caught you up with some attractive things. We need you to get addicted to them. If I can pull off that unholy trinity of consciousness, I've got you. Now, the person who says, there must be another way of looking at this. I'm more than this. I'm not just an addict of this kind or that kind. So I'm becoming addicted to my attractions, but I'm becoming attracted to addiction. Now, it almost doesn't even need to access your belief systems anymore because it's got you caught up in being addicted to attractions and attracted to addiction. Does that make sense? So you're in a hopeless spiral now. How are you going to get out of that? It's not going to be just by fighting. Yes, reel it in, try to work on addictions. Yes, all of that. But if you don't go here and say, what is this really about? And it's really, when they say it's a thinking problem, not a drinking problem, it doesn't mean intellectual thinking problem. It's actually a belief problem. So you can try to work on addictions. And I know some people have said to me, I'm going to try working on an addiction on my own without a program and so on. Do what you want. But the program is trying to get you to go back here and look at yourself. I'm not selling any one program. I'm just telling you that's the truth. You can't heal without looking at this place. This is where the problems are. Now, I know that some, like a new agey kind of person is going to say, no, man, the heart's where everything's beautiful. Jesus told you that evil is rooted in the heart. Oh, well, I don't really like him, man. I know, because it's kind of inconvenient. But why does he say evil's rooted in the heart? Because it isn't here, evil. This is divinity. So where's it at? Oh, root chakra, great. Now you sound like a religion or a mystic who says, I need to extract my root chakra. Like, wow. No. Then you're judging something and trying to extract it, force it away and think it's gone. It doesn't work. It's an inside job. The outer world, including the root center that's projected out, the outer world is just being reflected to us. The inner world is the thing being reflected. And I know that's very challenging. Try this on for size. Think about the human race. Let's pretend 10% have food addiction, 10% sex addiction, 10% drug addiction, 10% alcohol, whatever it happens to be. No matter what the addictions are, none of them compare to almost everybody having one addiction, and it's called codependence. Not all alcoholics, you see, not all, like, Alcoholics are drug addicts. Not all drug addicts are alcoholics, right? But sometimes they overlap. But codependence, they're in all of it. A drug addict, an alcoholic, they're all still codependent as well. But not all codependent people take drugs. Not all codependent drink. This is the number one issue. Why would codependence be the number one addiction? Because our first problem has to do with relationships. The one with God and ourselves and others. So that's why the number one addiction is relationship oriented. Because it's the number one problem. It's why I've said this before, but you take A Course in Miracles comes out, and it's this deep book on Christ consciousness, mysticism, and so on. But it never mentions whether you should kneel when you pray, or what kind of beads to hold. It never tells you clasp hands. It never talks about ritual at all. It's so strange. Well, what's it talking about? It's talking about how to do a mantra and a yantra and whatever else, boom shakalaka and om mani padme, and it doesn't do any of that. So what's the value of the book? You're right. It's really strange. You know what it focuses on? Relationships, but not romance. Now you're reading the book on, it's a book on honey, I think we should read this together. You read one page, I'll read another so that we're equals. And then, it's going to really bring us together. And it doesn't. It says all your relationships are messed up. The people you think you like, you actually hate. Honey, what I'm hearing here is not good for us. But it's talking about how to bring peace and forgiveness in your relationships. Why? So you can have better romance. No, it's so you can have a better you, because your romance or lack thereof is a reflection of you. I don't like this book. What is this all about? I thought this was a book on peace and love. I heard somebody talking about it on Oprah, and they were like, I just learned so much from A Course in Miracles. So I bought it. There's a saying, although it has sold millions, it's the best-selling book of all time that has been read the least. Okay? It's the book that has sold the most in comparison to how much it's been read. And I've seen people do it. It cracks me up. Family members, in the old days, I remember, it's on their bookshelf. How did that end up there? Like, some miracle. It dropped through the chimney on Christmas Day, and they looked at it and said, oh, look, firewood. People can get the book, and even if they read it, it's even less that understand it or apply it. But do you think Christ cares? Christ is like, let's put a book out there that's going to bother a lot of people. Those who read it the most do so intellectually. Chapter or verse, of course, I'm like, oh my God, And then I say, those who analyze A Course in Miracles are technically crucifying Christ again. Now, some people are like, well, that's intense to say that. Alan Cohen, who's a wonderful teacher, one of the best in the world, has quoted me time and again in his workshops and conferences. I love Michael's line. The one line I love most about from Michael is that every time you analyze the Course, you're crucifying Christ. Because you're taking something and killing it with thinking. And the reason I'm saying that is Jesus says, let's put this book out. We'll sell millions of copies. Good. Now it's selling millions. But Jesus, in case you didn't know, nobody's really applying it that well. And there's certainly some, but not in comparison to how many have sold. So Jesus, what do you want us to do? And Jesus would smile at you and go, you actually thought it only works when somebody's reading it? It's holding a frequency. When it's even on some person's bookshelf, it's just downloading. Sure, people can go, I want none of that, and they can block it out. But at some point, you're going to be exhausted. At some point, fighting the love of God coming through, even in a book form, you're going to feel so exhausted, you're going to be in a deathbed, and then you'll be sitting there and nearing death, and I'm so sorry and love you guys, and I hope I see you someday, and pray for me, and all that usual human stuff. And then at some point, you're so exhausted, your defenses come down, and you start hearing this frequency off your bookshelf, and it's A Course in Miracles, sending you the thing it was sending you all the time, but you wouldn't shut up long enough to hear it. And that's what your work, your actions of love and compassion and peace, forgiveness, are frequencies that not everybody's going to soak in when you want them to. You know, I'm tired of sending you frequencies of love. I was doing it because I thought you'd be a different person. Now, the soul of the person is, I know, and I've been messing with you. I've been resisting just to see if you're real when you say you love and forgive me. So I'm resisting. And look, 3 months later, you're done with me. See, you gave up on me. Is that bad or evil? No, I'm so sorry. You gave up because you found your limit to forgiveness. Your limit to forgiving them is also your limit to forgiving yourself. So now, whatever amount you were able to love and forgive, let's say 30% instead of 100, that's how much you've grown today. You're 30%. Is that good enough for you? Yeah, I think I'll stay at 30 for another 16 lifetimes. Then I'll go to 35. You know how long this is going to take? At your rate? Why don't you just give it up? Well, that's how I am. I'm like, if I'm eventually going to be doing it this way, like 90% love instead of 30, why don't I just go there now? That's how I am. I can't, without laughing at myself, I can't go, no. I only want 31% next year, 32% next lifetime. I can't do that with a straight face. If Jesus says you're going to be, it's like, if I were going back into the role of Moses, and Moses, being told, go in and tell the Egyptian leaders you're taking the Israelites out. Of course it's scary. Of course, who thinks they're going to pull that off? That's why Moses is an ascended master, because of his level of, I'm just going to do it. But it sounds easy to some, just like addiction. Oh, I could quit any time. Easily said. Now do it. Okay, so you put down the cigarettes, but you're drinking to make up for the cigarettes. That's not actually sobriety. It's just transferring addiction, which is a very common problem in recovery. So what do you expect me to do? So you're telling me I'm not really in recovery by stopping to drink if I start smoking and doing this and this and this and this? True, I'm still happy for you that you got past that, but you should still be looking at yourself on how you're projecting it out in other forms. Okay, so now what you're telling me is I have to be perfect. Don't smoke, don't drink, because you know what? Food's an addiction. How do we know that? Because you eat. And you don't just eat once and go, I feel complete forever. You eat twice. Why? Because you're hungry more than once. You don't have a body. You think you do, which means it's a thinking problem. Because I think I'm a body, I believe I have an empty stomach and it should be filled with something. So you feed it, then it's gone, and no, I need it again. That's called an addiction. So this is like some really strict stuff, Michael. You're telling us we shouldn't eat. Water is an addiction. Everything's an addiction. It is. It's an addiction because you're attached to believing that what you think is happening is happening. And you need to believe it's true. You need to believe you're right about everything. But instead, there's this point where you say, I thought I knew. I thought I knew everything. I thought I knew I'm a male of a certain height, I thought I knew certain things. I thought there's only one sun in the sky. Of course, what if there's 5 tomorrow? I'm going to be starting to go crazy. And if I tell people, I know you think there's only one sun. I see 5. They're going to lock you up because you're not conforming with the mass hypnosis. It's so weird, so sad and unfortunate. But at the end of the day, I drink, I need everything to be where I want it to be because it gives me a false sense of, everything's where I want it to be. See, but that's tyrannical. I want everything to be where I want it, and it better be or else. That's tyrannical. So what do I say then? Don't eat, don't drink, don't. Well, the mystics took it that far. So now concluding that, Jesus even says in A Course in Miracles, hey, listen, if you want to not eat, not drink, lay on a bed of nails to prove that you're impervious to pain, he says, you do that for enough years and maybe lifetimes, you will actually prove, look at you, man, you don't believe you're a body. You're beyond needing to eat. You're beyond belief in illusion of any form. You can lay on a bed of nails and it doesn't affect you. It's amazing. He says, except it's painful and it takes a long time to establish that knowing. Every time you forgive one person, you're peeling off another layer. Why don't you just do it that way? You're proving you're not a body when you forgive. Yeah, but I still ate afterwards. Then forgive that too. And then have some more food. You see what I'm saying? It's not the doing to prove something. It's the acceptance. Like saying, God, I have tried every kind of way to better myself. I've become a CEO, or I don't eat like I used to, or whatever it is. And I thought it really made me, look at me, man. Now I've learned, I know 100 asanas, and I never eat anything with MSGs and BADs and whatever else on the food labels. I'm so healthy and fit, and I'm looking younger. Even if you look younger, which can happen in 50 different ways. The right makeup, the right moisturizers, clothespins, whatever. You look better, but wait, are you any more forgiving? Because when they lay you in your grave with the same issues, all I know for sure is you're coming back with those same issues. There's only one way out: forgiveness. It's the most beautiful thing. If we have a prison with 1,000 jail cells, and we have 1,000 people on trial for something that they seem to have done. 1,000. But then, in the courtroom, pretend 1,000 people are found innocent, absolutely factually proven innocent. The cells will be empty tomorrow, right? By the same token, we are innocent. We don't need to live imprisoned. Then why do we end up imprisoned in bodies that need to eat, smoke, drink, etc.? Guys, that's all a prison. It's all the illusion. How do we end up there? Because we actually judged ourselves as flawed, separate from God. The first evidence of a prison, you're in a body that dies. Well, I don't believe I'm flawed. Get back to me in 50 years. You're going to be dead, which means you believe because the old law is the wages of sin is death. Because you're a sinner, you will die. That's the old law. And everybody seems to die. Very rare exceptions. Jesus not only resurrects himself, but if Jesus can resurrect himself from having been dead, and death is the result of sin, then resurrecting must mean sin isn't real, because death isn't real. So Jesus is our Savior, not in a preachy fundamental way, but he is our Savior because he proved you are not capable of being flawed. I'm not talking about your ego human behavior. That's all flawed. I'm talking about the real us, the one that is so plugged in, it doesn't do the things that we do on this planet to each other that you would call harmful. It's not about not judging harmful behaviors. It's about not even doing them to then be judged. The first mistake is to think we're separate. The second is to judge ourselves for it. Not because it's, like we're pretending it didn't happen. It ultimately it didn't, but we believe it did. Judging ourselves was the second really bad step in separation. Separating and then judging ourselves. Instead of judging, we could have seen it for what it is. And forgiven ourselves, we would have gone back home. But we didn't. Instead, we believed we could separate, judged ourselves for it, tried and found ourselves guilty, and then condemned ourselves down to the human plane. That's also the fall in heaven, but it's also what happened in the proverbial metaphor of the Garden of Eden. So we fell. We found ourselves flawed, naked in the garden, but flawed. And then what happened after that? God saying, what happened? A minute ago, you were like one with me, and now you're like gone, and you're hiding, and what's going on? We feel ashamed. And God's going, why would you feel ashamed? Because we're naked. What makes you think you're naked? What gave you these conclusions? Well, we ate from the tree of judgment. Oh, so you've now learned to judge, which is why you're descending into hell. Judgment. Quick, go and eat from the tree of forgiveness. We're not worthy. So all these years, bless you, all these years, decades, millennia, all these millions, believe it or not, billions of years since the beginning of this, we've been actually holding ourselves condemned into jail. And that jail is called reincarnation. I know it sounds like a beautiful thing. Well, reincarnation gives us a chance to evolve and not be messed up anymore. But wait, that still implies you're messed up. What if it's all made up, and it is by the ego? What if it's all an illusion? Now, God allows it. If we say, God, we want to come home. God says, excellent, come on. Well, no, we have to first pay our dues. and it's going to take us billions of years. God's like, wow, okay, well, I'll see you in billions of years. Can we come home any sooner? Anytime you forgive, you are another ounce home. Forgive enough, and then that's all you see. And when you see forgiveness, everything sparkles, but not the attraction sparkles. Everything sparkles because you're beginning to see the truth of God. Sparkling meaning there's light to it. There's hope. Any person that comes to you and says, I feel hopeless, you're able to see hope in them. When someone says, I'm experiencing a lot of shame, you're seeing in them hope in them that they can't see. You see, you're seeing beyond, which means you're seeing them as God sees them. And that's our ultimate prayer. God, I don't know how to see perfectly. I don't know how to see love only, but show me how. See, it's not, I'm going to work on this, because now you're just working on something again. Now you're just fighting to make the place, the world, a better place. I know if I just get the right person in office, we'll have it down. Well, okay, that's an addiction. How do I know? Because we've tried it more than once, and it didn't work. And then when we switched from one party to another, it's like going from drugs to alcohol or vice versa. You see what I mean by that? It's like, oh, that didn't work. Let me try this one. Oh, now what am I going to do? If I voted for this one, I'm going to feel bad if I got invested in that one's going to have the answers. Now I got to defend that there's no flaw in them, man. They're perfect. Yeah, but they did this. Oh, no, they didn't. Then you go, does this hurt? Poof, no. You're playing like the child game. That didn't hurt. That didn't hurt. It hurts to stop and say, I really, really was hoping this person was going to do what they said they're going to do. I was really hoping that they were going to bring hope to the world. Now I have someone else to forgive. Them for not doing it, and me for projecting my hopes onto them. Who was I supposed to put in office? You. In office right here. What you want the politicians to do, what you want the pharmaceutical company, whatever, the AMA, whatever you want the systems out there to do, make it happen right here. Make your own self an ecosystem of love, peace, joy, forgiveness. When I mess up, forgive. Don't tell us how other people should do things different. Work it right here. And when I work it here, if the world is a mirror, and I assure you it is, of our inner self, if I work on myself and I come to a place of peace, I've helped bring peace to the world. When Christ, the baby, Jesus, was born, they say there was a mantra heard throughout the land: peace on earth, goodwill to man. But that happens every time you choose to forgive. Peace, you're saying to yourself. Peace to your brothers and sisters that you were judging. And you're letting them off the hook. Yeah, but they shouldn't be off the hook because they did naughty things. Judge and ye are judged. Well, I don't like that. I know. That's very apparent. That's why you've defended the way you do things for not just years, decades, since the beginning of time. Hiding and running and blaming. So in the garden, that's what happened. God's going, guys, just come on, man. Like, focus right here. You made a mistake. You started thinking you're separate. Here's the way out. Ha, ha, ha. Ho, ho, ho. I get it. I believe. I see what I did, and that's just silly. It's absurd. Can't be separate from God, from all that is. I get it. What a weird trip that was. You know what we did instead? Oh my God, I can't believe I did that. She made me do it. So the woman blames the serpent. Adam blames the woman. That's called projection. So if that's how we fell, wouldn't it be the answer as the solution to get back? You have to forgive blaming other people for all your stuff. There are people that don't like you, and they've never even met you. Seriously. I told you guys the story once. Whatever the topic was, and I never care or talk about one party or politics, or I typically don't do that, and I don't name names almost ever. But something I said, somebody wasn't hearing the promotion of their thing. I wasn't downing anyone in particular. It's all of it's screwed up. But I wasn't promoting their thing. And then they sent in a post or a whatever complaint. And this person said, I knew you were a Democrat. I just knew it. After today's service, I'm never coming back. I'm like, where did you get that? It's their own. You see through your own lenses. I wasn't pushing Democrat or Republican. That's impossible. It's impossible for me to promote either one. They're insane. Yeah. I believe in the centered party. Or the party party. Whichever, you got to get somewhere here. So we have this, think about this and really breathe it in. We're attached to thinking we're flawed, but then getting it's called temptation. When you start getting attracted to the distractions, the addictions, when you get attracted to them, it pulls you. It's called temptation in the Bible. When you give into it and engage in the addiction, it's called sin in the old school. So, you might be like, I don't like using those. Use whatever words you want. It's the same thing. You're drawn from your heart and soul where you can change everything. You're drawn into littleness. Here, I'm an abundant child of God. Here, I can barely pay my bills. And that tempts me to feel afraid. And you actually then become addicted to fear. And then you become attached to that too. Because attaching to each of these locks them in seemingly permanently. And then there's no way out. Now I need more drugs, alcohol, or whatever it is. And then, some people will eventually just say, I give up. Suicidal ideation, suicidal attempt, suicidal success. And there's people that, oh my God. Now this is what the funny thing is. Projection again, Garden of Eden, remember? Somebody will say, oh my God, somebody's child killed themselves. And what happened? I told them, that's a sin. Their child is now in hell. And it's like, that helps. That helps. First, it only proves a few things. The person who says that is already in hell. But also, it proves that the person whose child did that is waffling. They're not sure. So they heard that. Now, they might believe it and go, oh my God, Michael, what do I do? My child's in hell. Or they'll fight it and say, damn you for saying that, and hate them. Relax. This happened once years ago, probably 15 years ago when we were at the other building. Someone raised their hand in the middle of a service. It was kind of odd, but, it was out of place. And they started walking up towards the stage, and as they're walking up, everybody's starting to go, what's this about? I remember this because some people were thinking, okay, when I take this guy out, I have to tackle him by the legs. I mean, there were people actually going that far, like, this looks disturbing. Really big guy, younger guy, and he's walking up, trench coat. He's walking up, and he said, my grandfather just died, and people are telling me he's in hell, and I don't want to believe that. And he comes up and he stands right here at the other place, but right here at this angle, and people are thinking, whoa, what's going to happen? I walked over and I grabbed his lapel, and I pulled him in, and I said, can you imagine him in hell? He said, no. I go, then he's not there. See? He's not. You can see good in your grandfather. How could goodness end up in hell? Your hope and your love for your grandfather assures that on the other side, even if he was, hi, train 138 to hell today, and it pulls up and the door's open and he's about to step in, your love and respect for your grandfather, somebody grabbed him and said, wait, somebody's loving you. You don't have to go there. You see? We can keep each other sane. We can keep each other on a path of healing. We can keep each other from torment and hell and all this stuff. But you have to be loving enough. Now, some of us can't afford it. I can't love anybody else right now. My life is so messed up. I can barely even open my eyes each day. Guys, that's okay. Seriously. To judge yourself, to be in that state, why? How's that going to be helpful? So let it go. Breathe and say, wow, today is that bad of a day that it's all colliding on me. It's all falling, imploding on me so much. God, I know you want me to love, forgive, miracle work. I don't have it today. And God's going to say to you, rest. Take the day off. I don't suggest you take the day off and go, who can I hate today? No. Why add to the problem? But instead, just rest. Do I need to forgive? Shh. But what if just fetal position, warm tub of water, whatever, just comfort. So many people in healing sessions in the past, which I don't do in-person sessions anymore, but when I did, so many people went to cathartic levels of healing. They could have been seeing a counselor for 20 years and no major change until someone, in this case myself, picked them up and sat them on my lap and just rocked them. And here as they're being rocked, what's happening? Who's rocking you? Is it God? Yes. Is it your daddy that didn't? Yes. Your daddy that did, but you miss him? Yes. Is it a man? Yes. Is it a male? Yes. Whatever your stuff is, it starts coming up and is this real? It's a guy and he has no agendas or whatever is going on in their mind. It's so beautiful. Just rocking. Or whatever else. When you give somebody time, you're showing them they have value. And you're turning around all of miscreation. Just helping people feel heard or feel seen. And it doesn't have to take the form of holding them literally and rocking. It's the time of day. But when you're not in the space, you don't have it. It's okay. Then get yourself held. Reach out to a sponsor. Reach out to a hotline. Reach out to a friend, whomever it is, as long as, to the best of your knowledge, they're safe enough to hold that space for you. You see? If you say, well, I did. I reached out. I went to a bar and I asked this one guy who was bleeding from his last fight if he would just hold me in safe presence. And I didn't feel it. I think you need to make different choices of who you reach out to. I mean, what can I say? So it all comes back to learning what's called non-attachment. And as I'm closing, it doesn't mean detachment, nor is it attachment. Non-attachment means I don't know what I see. I think so-and-so's the one who ruined my life, but I don't know for sure. I'm confused. That vulnerability opens a door right here in the middle. You can attach blame, and on a human level, you can prove someone harmed you. And don't get me wrong, that's fine. It's what seems to have happened. That's fine. What I'm saying is if you get attached to making them the cause for your ruined life, you go into hell with them. You go into the prison with them. So what's really strange, if you think about it, is that if all my addictions and all of my sins, addiction, or temptations, addictions, or the sparkly stuff of the world, if all of that, attractions and all, if all of that comes from my belief that I'm separate, then it is a higher thinking problem. I need to work on believing I'm separate and not separate. I need to look at that. Well, okay, I'm not separate. I'm not separate. You're trying to convince yourself. Just say, you know what? Funny thing happened on the way to life today, God. I realize there's parts of me that don't believe my deservability of your grace. Part of me doesn't believe I can snap my finger and completely remember the presence of God. And that's not true. You're owning your flawed belief systems. And I'm not making you wrong for being flawed. It's a good thing. You should celebrate. Oh my God, I'm having the best day I've ever had. What did you do? I just recognized how flawed I am. That's good news. That's the good news of the Lord. Because if you're not flawed and this is as good as it gets, this isn't good. It's better to go, oops, wow, what was I thinking? And laugh at yourself. But if you're willing to take the heat off yourself, it would be hypocritical to not also be willing to take it off others. Everyone, including myself, that I have had any perception of, I'm sorry, please forgive me. I love the real you, and thank you for letting me say that. That's what you do. You own, you empty the cup, and you refill it with something new. How many times? I don't know. I think Jesus said to keep doing it. How many times should we do this, Jesus? 70? No, how about 70 times? And now some people are out there going, mathematically, what is that? Because I know that's coming close to, let's pretend it's 5,000 times. So I'm on 4,999 with my ex-husband. One more time and I'm done. Don't put it into math. What he was saying was infinite number of times. When it's up, work it. When it's not up, don't drag it up. When it's up, you have enough to work on. How do I know if I have any other issues from past lives? Trust me. Trust me. If you have any, they're repeating right now. If you have an annoying personality from another lifetime, and that's one of your triggers that you need to heal, trust me, you're probably annoying in this lifetime. If you had lack then and never healed it, it's probably showing up now. Do past life work by all means. Blame past lives and you missed the mark. See the past lives, how they're recurring today. Heal one or the other and you're healing all of it. Go and work on past life stuff, heal it, you're healing today. Work on stuff today, you're working on past lives. That's beautiful that healing can work that efficiently. But we have so many erroneous beliefs. But the final one, remember, I believe I'm flawed. Now I'm desperate, but there's distractions. You go after them and so on, remember, as I said. But also, the jail is empty when no one is condemned. So how did your ex become your jailer? By offending you in some way, cheating on you, whatever it is. How did your drug dealer harm you? You know, all those things. Before they came into your life as attractions, someone had to believe they were separate. You follow what I mean by that? Before they could appeal to you as, oh, there's a good suitor. I'm just, I was married once and they were really boring. Now I found somebody who's exciting. I'm sure they are. It's called fast burning fuel. And they will burn you. Because they're so stimulating. Oh my God, they just do things to me that have never been done. I'm sure. Lobotomies can do things to you that have never been done before. That doesn't mean it's a good idea. Shock therapy. It's so stimulating. My ex, my new guy, that guy was boring. This girl is boring. Now they're stimulating. Great. Just take your battery cables off your car and go, wow, this is stimulation like I've never had before. And if you really need, clip it to certain parts of your body, you'll go, whoa, this is fantastic. Are you any closer to God? No. Stimulated, yes. But you know what's going to happen? You're going to end up in a session with Michael. Michael, I just don't know how to say this, but, I thought I found my soulmate, and then I didn't realize that they had 10 other soulmates secretly. You wanted stimulus, you wanted fire, and yeah, it's burned and bright and warming, but no, it was too hot, and it burned out and burned you. So where do I find sanity? Not running after the shiny stuff. You find it here. And truly, when we love ourselves enough, we see that mirrored. Then in comes Lance LaRue, hello, I can see you have not been loved the way I can love you, That's channeling. But I see, and I can do things to you you've never done before, and you're like, oh my God, he sees me. So I understand that, but when you're in your center, you're like, dude, that is hilarious. I mean, it is. Now, you can learn to get to this place one of two ways. The hard way, which is, go through it, be beat up by it, and go, you know what? I hear it, I see, and it's just BS. I don't trust anybody. That could be the sad place you get to. Although it taught you to say no, but it's because you've been beat down too much. You can also just see things. But you have to want to. You have to be okay with that. You have to be attracted to waking up instead of attracted to feeling you're separate and heading that direction. You have to find it attractive. Not, well, I find it attractive, but that doesn't put money in my pocket and a man in my bed and so on. I want the real 3D stuff. As long as that's the case, you're heading to hell. Oh yeah, okay, Michael, thanks. So I guess you're telling me no money, no guys, I'll just live alone in my car. And If anybody drives by and waves, don't look because it's just another guy trying to mess with me. So no, now you're just homeless. I mean that just generically. So you're not enlightened. So enlightenment comes from, honestly, if you want to know when you're getting there, it's when you can laugh a little more at all this. When someone says, hey, I can blah, 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 you just kind of go, you see through it. I don't care how hot, hey, hey, guy, and I could love you. And you kind of laugh. When somebody says, listen, I have this investment and you'll make 10 times the money in 3 minutes and so on and so on and so on. And look, I got rings and stuff. And you're like, oh, I want that. As soon as you start leaning out of yourself, something's wrong. Not just the outer, the act. Not just the act. It's that you would even lean towards it in the first place. Why are you leaning? You're fine. Why are you leaning? There's a woman at the well, according to Khalil Gibran in his book, Jesus, the Son of Man. It's great material. And the woman at the well says, I'm used to serving men, and she was a prostitute, and he sees who she is and what she's done, and he says, there's something more for you. And she's like, how do you know me? How can you see into me like this? And he's just holding presence and love her. Finally, she starts feeling like, whoever this guy is, I feel love from him. Then she interprets love as she knows love. She says, come home with me. What does Jesus say? Why? I already love you. And she's like, what? No, come home with me. Why, honey? I already love you. So imagine saying that to people that want to mess with you and make you think that they have something you need. Why? I already love you. Oh, well, come with me. Why? I love myself. Thanks for the invitation, but I love myself. If that doesn't send a message to them, they're going to kind of get like, what? You see the question mark in their aura. Like, what did they just say to me? I'm not going to go home with you because I love myself. Wait a minute. And by the time they turn to rebuke you, you're gone. You're a miracle worker. You're a superhero miracle worker. You show up, share the light and love, and you disappear because you're not caught up in this. Can you still have money and affection? Yes, but it comes from a different place. So it's this. You start to fill up so much with it, you have enough to share. I can share love. I can share sex. I can share laughter. I can share mood. I can share because I can afford it. Not coming from a deficit where I need it. Where I'm empty, I got to go find it. It's something happened and I feel full. And I have enough to share my time with you. And I'm talking about counseling time, patience time, forgiveness time, intimate time. You see? When a child says, look what I did at school today, you have time to go, wow, tell me about it. Instead of, that's nice, mommy's working, daddy's working. You see, you're there. You have time. Because even time, running out of time, it's all an addiction too. Not enough, not enough, not enough. So this world absolutely, undeniably beats us up. But it first convinced us we're flawed, made us vulnerable, susceptible to being beat up. Back to God, back to oneness, back to deservability, and it changes what this world can try to do to you. Thanks. A few centering breaths. Breathe in some of these concepts. Whatever you heard that made sense today. I know people seemingly have acted hurtfully, but first, we had self-condemnation that manifests as every imaginable and unimaginable form of trauma. We first had to believe we're flawed and then condemn ourselves. But in reality, the jail cells can be empty as long as we don't find ourselves or others guilty. What an amazing, different person we can bring to the world. One of you asked about the concept of fatherly or even motherly energy. When you start to come from a fullness in your heart, you are made into the greatest father and mother on earth. You're made into the greatest counselor, healer, and so on, because you're coming to those sessions, those moments with fullness, with partners, lovers, friends, with fullness. You can be a cook and be just downloading frequency of love into every food, not just certain foods, every food, because everywhere you go, you're bringing the presence of God. There's nothing wrong with having weak moments. One of you asked about grief, and I addressed that. When you got to curl up and cry, when you're hurting too much to do anything, grieve, die well, and metaphorically. You're not sinning by screaming into a pillow everything that you feel temporarily. What would be sad would be to try and choose to hold it and keep it, to blame yourself or others eternally. But for now, just cry, scream it out. Tell God it's how you feel about that situation, that person. Get it out of your system. Then you're free temporarily. You're free because you emptied your cup. You still need to refill it. So after those moments of deep grieving, the other word one brought up is alignment. Don't just assume you're aligned after you let out the grief. No, grieve, grieve, grieve. Scream, anger, rage, all of it. Then come back and ask for the presence of peace, the presence of love and self-worth. Ask God to give you what you thought you were missing. Cry out, scream out to all the people and things that seem to have taken it from you. Get all that out, and then ask for any and all things you're looking for. Peace. What I really want is peace. What I really want is love. The person dangling the carrot doesn't have that to offer, or they wouldn't be dangling the carrot. They would be holding presence with you and smiling. You would feel love from them. If it's only attraction you feel to a person, a drug, a food, then it is what it is, a distraction. It's different when you feel a resonance. The God in me honoring the God in you. Not the God that I'm missing sees hope that you can give it to me. That's not the namaste moment. And in closing, the more we get this right, the more we connect from a place of love and authenticity. One of the greatest symptoms, just like pain is a symptom of going off the wrong direction in our consciousness, one of the greatest signs that things are coming back together is synchronicity. Things will start aligning more and more. That doesn't mean every synchronicity is reflecting God. Some synchronicities are there reflecting what my ego is trying to distract me with. So don't jump at every synchronicity. Just sit and watch. And when you have a few confirming ones and they feel loving, inspiring, peaceful, give thanks. Don't even let that become a sparkly distraction. Just see it and go, wow, that's beautiful, thank you. Stay in your center and say thank you a lot more. Not give me, thank you. Thank you for showing me this. Thank you for reminding me this. Don't be too upset that people don't give you what you want. They don't have it either. It only comes from God, your alignment with God, and then you share it with others. Feel that fullness, even just for a moment or longer. It's up to you, but feel it at least for a moment. What if I'm already full? What if I really am centered in love, in God? What if I'm not guilty? What if there's no purpose in shame? A lot of us would say, well, then I wouldn't know what to do with my time. And just say, yeah, that's true, but I'm willing to find out. Peace will take me to a new life, and it will be filled beautifully and perfectly with things for me to share. I give thanks in this moment, Father, Mother, God, that this is a form of being born again. To hear this is one thing. To breathe it in is another thing. To live it, even greater, and to give thanks for it, the ultimate. And so it is. Beautiful. Can anyone share what they learned or heard today that made the most sense, or how, whatever might be the most effective in your life moving forward? We're going to do our closing prayer in just a moment. Can anyone share? What did you learn or hear? Yes.
When I'm looking for the truth outside of myself, I'm believing in the separation of God, and I'm also giving my power away. And so
When you look for these things outside yourself, you're giving your power away, and you're affirming that you're separate.
I'm already triggered.
Yes, and already triggered, which means susceptible to whatever. Yes, dear. That unholy trinity concept. Yes. Yes.
This morning when I woke up, and I was standing at my counter, getting ready to come here, I'm thinking negative thoughts like, from my ego, and I'm going, that's enough. That's enough. And I'm blaming my ex-wife for what she did to me 30 years ago.
Wow.
By taking my kids, the dog, and the TV. Left me with a small 12-inch TV.
Yeah.
And I'm still trying to forgive her. And I can't peel the layers off, but I know that I need to do that to get to where I need to be.
Right. Beautiful that you could see in the morning you're already sort of set off, and that your mind's going back to the trauma of his relationship, a wife, And absolutely, you got to forgive the leaving, forgive she takes the house or money or whatever. Taking the TV was over the line, though. That's unforgivable. Thank you. Yeah. Oh my God, the TV, not the TV. Yes.
The examples of ego meaning edging God out of children.
Very vivid to see what ego is all about, what it really is and does. Yes.
Wisdom and stillness, not falling
Wisdom and stillness, not falling what?
into Christ's distraction.
To the distractions. Absolutely. Yes, dear.
That's my sister. So she came first, so she can go first.
That's all right.
I just heard so much love here today.
Thank you.
The inclusion of all, that we lock it in when we don't include all. So
Right.
we can wrap our embrace around what we would judge.
Yeah.
And then suddenly that timeline can dissolve into love.
Right. Typical timeline of mankind's awakening is greatly dependent on day-to-day presence, forgiveness. Now, for me, forgiveness, for some people, it's going to be, I got to work on that, work on that. There's a point where it becomes a little more automatic and simple. I love that. To where you now don't have to just keep working on forgiveness. You start to have extra time on your hands to also bring a lot of miracles to people. Because the forgiveness changes your mind to where you realize, I have enough to share with others. It would be strange and very harmful to yourself to do all the forgiveness and then be a miser with your energy. It would be really tragic but harmful to you. So it's an interesting concept to those who have, more is given. To those who don't, it's taken away. What does that mean? God punishes it? Wait, don't project it on God. It's a statement of fact. The more love you have, the more is given. When you lack love, you go in that direction. You become more fearful and hateful. Forgive them, they know not what they do. And they do some pretty disgusting things. And the more you say, well, I have proof that they took this and this and this and this, it's true in the 3D world. But since the 3D world isn't real, whoa, it's like, that changes everything. When you realize the reactions are based on a world that doesn't exist. And there are people that will argue this with you. No, this is the real world. And this is great because that voice of academia and science, 3D is what's real. No, because science even knows there's more energy in every particle than there is solidity. And one day they're going to find there's not even solidity. There's so much space in the solidity is an illusion. So they're going to go from realizing, wait, look, there's this beautiful quantum energy in all space, and it just floats. It only solidifies and becomes a thing when it's being observed. Who do you think the observer is? I and us. See? So when it's not being judged, it doesn't have to solidify into being a thing that is the result of my opinions. All of a sudden, I'm sitting here, you're sitting there. Quantum field, or the quantum energy waves, you and I are not sitting in separate bodies. We're in an ocean of love. But then, but I have differing opinions. Immediately, the ocean stops and it creates over there you, over here me, and we have two people looking at each other, liking, not liking, all kinds of opinions. But all that happened is the waves that the Divine Mother is became solidified to mirror how you're doing today. You know, I just hate impatient people. Oh, there's one. But it's the result of my beliefs, my issues, my triggers, my unhealed wounds. But if they're all mirrors, can we not choose like a spiritual Windex and clean the mirror today? What, yeah, but I don't want to do. You know why? Because you might see you. As long as we can talk about others, it prevents us from going here. And I really appreciate that you could feel so much love in what's happening today. It's beautiful. And I appreciate the extra time that we've done here today with each other, okay? God bless. Thank you. You're welcome. We're going to take up our collection. Please be as generous as you can be. Help us work through the year and holidays, paying everything off. Your donations go in the bags. Any extra donations go in the baskets. That would be for some of our special projects or people of lesser means. If you have the means to also put in the basket any extra funds like that we can share with people who don't have such, abundance during the holidays, in the baskets that would go. Online, you can click, just make a donation if you're online, but try to send us a note telling us it's specifically for the holiday giveaway or just free donation, just leave it as it is. That's fine, okay? Hold your donation, your love offering to your heart, to your soul. It's a symbol of gratitude to God, to yourself, and to us for sharing this with you. Together, please. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, and so it is. Thank you. Please stand for our closing prayer. Such love, such gratitude. Holding that place in our center. With absolute certainty, we say the things we say in our prayer, such as, the light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we go, God is, I am, we are, and so it is. Peace be with you all. Thank you. How are you?